Hey y'all, today we're going to play with Redstone. This is an open play session, so it's okay if you're still figuring out how to move or how to place and break blocks. Or if you wanted to keep working on the creatures exercise from last week, that's okay. You could also start a fresh project with Redstone, or you could incorporate some light or sound into a project that you've already started. But in a later session, we're going to use Redstone to make beats. So I want to introduce a few ideas and just give everyone a chance to practice with it. Okay, so Redstone is Minecraft's version of electricity. And usually when we learn about electricity, we're taught that it flows from one place to another, kind of like a stream of water. If you think about a lamp in your house, electricity flows from the power outlet up through the lamp and into the light bulb. So if we switch it off or unplug it, no electricity is flowing into that bulb. It goes dark. It doesn't shine. In Minecraft, there's a few different power sources. And you can think of these power sources like that power outlet in your house or, a battery in your favorite toy. The first one we'll use is called the redstone torch. And you can get a redstone torch by opening your inventory. So you press E to open your inventory, and then in this search tab, right? So usually it's already selected, but you can click on it, and then in this bar here, you click on the bar, and you get a blinking green cursor, and you just type redstone. And then, a few different redstone items come up, items with the word redstone in their name. We want this one, the redstone torch. Click it and drag it down to your toolbar. To select it, you can press 1 in my case because I put it in the first toolbar slot. If it were in the second slot, I would press 2. Another way to select different items on your toolbar is to use the scroll wheel. If you have a mouse with a scroll wheel, it's kind of this wheel in the middle of the two buttons. You can select by rolling the scroll wheel. So you can do that, or you can, press 1, 2, 3 to select the different things in the toolbar. When you have the redstone torch selected, you can see on the bottom right of the screen, my character is kind of holding a little torch. And to place it, I right click, on a square. And so I've placed my torch. And again, that's like our battery or our power outlet in Minecraft. So that's our power source. That's where the power comes from. Now we need something for it to power. And we're going to start off with the redstone lamp. And in this welcome sign that I made, all of these things that are turning on and off, those are redstone lamps. To get a redstone lamp, press E to go back into your inventory, right? So the last thing you search for should still be there. So it still says redstone, and my redstone lamp is right here. So you could drag that down to your second slot or whatever slot you want, and then you have to choose that slot. In my case, I could press 2, or again, you could use the mouse wheel. I've got my redstone lamp, and if I were to, place it right next to the torch, it lights up, and the torch is powering the lamp. But what happens if I want to place it further away? I want to place it here. If, electricity and redstone energy flow like water does, what we need to do is make a path for that flow. Make a path for the energy to travel from the torch to the lamp, kind of like a wire. And in Minecraft, we use just this item called redstone, just plain redstone. You pick that, drag it down to your toolbar, and then press E again to close your inventory, and then select the redstone. It's this kind of powder that you can place on top of other blocks. So I'll place it here, Press it there. And now I'm connecting the torch to the lamp. And the redstone energy is traveling down this line of redstone powder that I've made. So it's starting here, going here. All right. While we're looking at placing this redstone powder, I want to show a couple things. So whenever we place this, first time we place it, if it's not connected to any power source or any other redstone powder, it can go in one of 4 directions. If we place another redstone next to it, it's going to make a line, right? In whatever direction that we kind of choose. If I've got 2 separate spots here and I place one in the middle, I get a redstone line that's 3 blocks long. I can also, change directions with this, right? So if I come back over here and I break this one, I don't have to go in a straight line. I could start over here and notice that if I change directions, I get this little right angle. So I can change the path that I'm routing this redstone. Then I can bring it this way, and I'm still able to power that lamp. Okay. So another thing to notice, right? If I connect from here to this other path, I could power another lamp. The stream of redstone energy comes here, and then it splits into 2 different directions. Kind of like, if a river were to split into smaller streams or something like that, right? It's starting here, splitting at this, and this is called a junction. If our path splits into 2 or more directions, the point where it separates, that's called a junction. If you're working with real electricity and real circuits, and later in your education, it's called the same thing. That's called a junction. Okay, so I could power another lamp if I wanted to have another split from this junction. I could power another one. So whenever we're placing this kind of redstone powder, it just kind of follows the direction that we're building in. So what happens if I wanted to power one that is not on the ground? If I break this one, and let's say I have a lamp that is on top of something, so I'm gonna use this black concrete, which is what I use to kind of outline this sign that I made. It will go up, 1 block. So I could put a lamp on top of this, and it powers that. But what we can't do with redstone is it won't travel up 2 or more blocks of height. So if from the ground I have 2 blocks and I put a lamp up there, that's not going to work. But what will work, if you've got something that's higher off the ground, let me break these, is what I'm calling stair stepping. So if I want something that's, height 2 blocks off the ground, I could put a redstone lamp up here. And then, again, the game will only let us put the redstone powder on top of blocks. So I can't actually put it on the side and come up like that. But what I can do is if 2 blocks are next to each other and I put redstone on top of both of them, it kind of makes it go up the side. And then I can power that lamp. If it were, 3 off the ground, I would do the same thing. I would need another layer here. And I could go here, and then the lamp could go up there. I could power it that way. And that's kind of what I mean by stair stepping. If you're powering lots of different things, you'll also notice that I could, if I needed to, I could break these blocks, and Minecraft will just kind of let them float in air. It's a game, so we can do stuff like this. And I could have more redstone running under here to power something else if I wanted to. And I could get to building complex structures, kind of whatever you can imagine. So if you wanted to work on your creature and add light to it or something like that, that's how you could do it. Similarly, like if I've got one block of height, so let's break this trace and put a block there. I can make the path go over it. The energy path from the torch to the lamp can go over something that's one block high, or something that is stair stepped up and down like this. But again, we can't go over something that is 2 blocks high. So if I try to put redstone there, it won't travel over unless I stair step it up and down. So let's see. I'd have to do that, and then also on this side, because this is height 0 and this is height 2. Those are not going to connect. So I'd have to have some block underneath there, and then redstone on top of it, and then I can connect those. Okay, so one thing I want to show real quick with the redstone is distance, because there's a limit to how far the redstone energy will travel. So just to show this, I'm gonna place 2 torches as my power sources, and then it'll transmit, or it'll flow up to 15 blocks. So if I go more than that, it'll fade out. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So you see the further I get away, it starts to fade out. And then on the 16th block, it's totally faded out. So if I try to power something that far, it's not going to work. On the other hand, if I go, 15 or fewer, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then place the lamp, there's still power there. So up to 15 blocks of, the actual redstone line or trace. If I were to do something like a winding path, it goes still up to 15. So if I were to do something like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. See, it's not going to power that lamp at the 16th block, but it would at only 15. I'd still 15 blocks now of distance, even though it's not a straight line. Another thing to look at with these lamps is, lamps that are adjacent to a lamp that is receiving like direct redstone energy will also light up. So here we can see, right, this one is receiving energy from this torch, and the ones adjacent to it, or right next to it, touching it, also light up, but not the ones that are touching those. So I could light up kind of a cluster of redstone lamps that way, and that's also what you see happening with the welcome sign. I don't have to power each and every single redstone lamp. I can power one and have the ones that it's directly touching also light up. Let's try another example. We can also use a button as a power source, not just a torch. And there are also things that we can power besides just the lamps. I'm going to come over here. And in Minecraft, a button just gives us a short burst of energy, while the redstone torches give us like a constant energy. But what I have here is a button connected to a door. And what I'll do is first just show it, right? So if I right click the button, it powers the door. The door opens and then the switch turns off. So, buttons generate energy on their own, but just for a short time, right? So on and off. And, I could do the same thing with a lamp. So I'll just make a junction off of that path and put a lamp there, and we'll see the same thing. The light turns on and off, just like the door opens and then closes again. And so to make buttons, there's lots of different materials, and the materials are made to just kind of match a certain kind of block. And buttons will go onto the side, stick onto the side of a block. So what we can do here is if I open my inventory and just type button, you'll see a few different kinds. I can take a stone button and drag it down to my hotbar, and then just a stone to match. Now what I want to do is close the inventory, place some kind of block. It doesn't actually have to match the button, right? You can stick a button on any material, and it doesn't have to match the material. I'm going to stick this button onto the side of a block, and then it generates redstone energy when it's pressed. We saw a door. Let's try something else. This one, here's an item called a piston. So if I press E, type piston, I'm going to drag that to my hotbar, and then I'm going to select the piston. Okay. And what the piston does is it just extends when it receives power, and then it'll go back in when the power is gone. So, you can use these to make all kinds of devices that move. It can be fun to experiment with. Now, what I want to show, one more thing to power, and this is going to be what we use for beat making, is the note block. I'm going to, make a button. So I'm going to have just a block and stick a button on it. Then I'm going to open my inventory and I'm going to type note to get the note block and drag that to my toolbar. So once I have the note block selected, and I'm going to place it close to this switch and just run a redstone trace. So power flows from the switch to the block, and press it and it plays a note, right? So when it gets power, it plays a note. And it also plays a note when you right click it, but that also changes the note. So if you wanted to tune it, so right clicking tunes it, but if you want to play it without changing the note, you would give it some power, right? So it's still on the last note I set it to. And another thing to look at with these is makes different sounds depending on what it's sitting on top of. So if I were to break this one and stair step it so that it's sitting on top of some stone, right, it'll make a different sound. And again, I can change the tuning of the sound. And then play it. Placing the note block on top of different materials makes different sounds. In your zine, you should have a list of what materials underneath the note block correspond to what sounds. So yeah, that's it. So let's get in and start playing.